Hello, everyone, and welcome to Patriot Crusader Missions Christian Warrior Talk, Christian fellowship show where we drop what we're doing and invest in one another. Invest in time because fellowship is never convenient, um, but it's so necessary. It's the lifeblood of being a Christian. So, on the show, I'm sorry, I'm trying to deal with some adjustments here. On the show, we talk about all things Christian walk. We celebrate our victories, we learn from our setbacks, and discuss as well all things prepper, all things homesteading, Christian marriage, you name it. That's what we do here. We're a church farm. I don't know why I'm so jumbled. I think it's what's going on right now, but we're a church ministry and farm for veterans, first responders, and patriots. And if I could go back and do that over, I would, but strength and honor to you, Chris.
Here we go. Back on track.
So
You didn't do Bible study today, right? So you're not in.
I haven't done Bible study in 2 days because yesterday I had my appointment.
Yeah. So
And it's been out of recovery. And then today I had breakfast meeting. So, so yeah, I'm totally out of my rhythm, and I apologize for that.
It's all right.
We should have been done with Luke almost by now, but I will be back at it tomorrow. I don't have anything unless a calf decides to get stuck.
God willing, that doesn't happen.
So for those of you guys who've been following, Nugget, you want to give the Nugget update?
Sure. I'll check that. My sound's good too. Yours is good. I'll just assume that it is. So yeah, so Nugget, her calendar due date was Monday. She's a heifer, so a first calf cow is kind of how they explain that. And so their due dates can be a little bit loose, up to 2 weeks late. Kind of past that is normal or not anything to be anxious about. So she's now 2 full days past it. So she's still well within the window of, okay, we're just waiting. Right. I've been checking her multiple times a day. I put a little story out today just to kind of show people what I'm looking for, and she's stagnant. She's definitely close because she's starting to get her udder is getting bigger. She's pretty poochy in the back. But the kind of final stages of that have not seemed to be triggered. So her udder is not really firm, which means the milk is like fully there for the baby. No discharge coming out yet. She's still happy to eat. So all of the signs of kind of labor has actually started. She's not there yet. So she's in her maternity field with Gracie.
Which has been the best peace of mind that we ever had.
Yeah, it's nice having our expectant mothers separated. We expectant mother number 3, Pixie, who's the furthest out, still in April technically, but she didn't need to be in there yet. She just kind of went in the first wave, and so we were like, okay, we've got all 3 in. She's such a bully, and there's really no nice terms for her.
Can't wait for her to go to freezer
She was
camp.
like harassing the heck out of Nugget, chasing her around the field. So she got the boot back into Gen Pop. We'll deal with her later. But yeah, I think she's just like hormonal and grumpy. She's the one who went after Karen a couple of weeks ago. So we're just over Pixie. But Nugget, who's like past her due date, did not need to be dealing with that drama. So Pixie got put out. So now it's Nugget due any day. Gracie technically due on the 21st. This is her second or third. I can't remember from the dairy.
I think third. But second or third.
So she's practiced. And she's already, she's like, her udder is huge. Like, she looks like she could go any day. So we're trying to be on standby for that as well. And just praying that she does well. Dairy cows, Jerseys are very finicky with giving birth because they get so much milk, like a milk dump into their udder because they are bred for milking, whereas an Angus meat cows only produce enough for their babies. So the biggest risk for Jerseys is they get something called milk fever, which is like all the calcium goes to their udder, and they go into like lack of calcium shock, essentially. So it's good to have extra calcium on hand. We're going to try to give her a calcium bolus orally, like as soon when we expect she's in the window of delivering, we try to give that to her. So that's kind of, I've seen several accounts that I follow on Instagram talk about their milk cows dying, nearly dying, or getting horrible like mastitis and issues. So I'm just praying that none of that happens for her because she's our favorite.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart. Some good night for some answered prayers that you guys did for me. The VA finally gave me some cortisone shots in my knees.
Hallelujah.
And I mean, I feel like I'm 18 again. It was amazing. This is my first shots in my knees ever, my 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't believe how quick they worked. So I'm hoping I don't need one for a long time, but holy smokes, I'm out, today I was out hacking paths through the briars.
Yeah. First thing in the morning.
Yeah.
When normally he's
normally dragging and stiff and in pain because I can't sleep because my knees were hurting so bad.
So I had a good VA experience.
Yeah. And I encountered an amazing, godly, patriotic woman.
Mm-hmm.
It's always weird when we go out there and we're in these organizations or we're in locations where many people don't feel like us or aren't like us. And you kind of do the secret handshake.
Yeah.
You start testing subjects.
How do you know?
Yeah, you start testing subjects and there's certain things you're out there. And we figured out pretty quickly we were the same people. So the guard came down.
Yeah.
And, it was just an amazing experience. So I want to compliment the VA where they did good. And this nurse practitioner that I was with, awesome.
Is that her classification?
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay. And I think so. I mean, you've had to play the game, the bureaucratic game, and you're finally kind of on the other side of that, at least for some of your issues.
Yeah. So now I got my back injections next week, or the 21st, whatever that is. I think it's next week.
Yeah. That's Gracie's due date.
Yeah. And so it appears that I made it through the tough times, and now here we are.
All right. Well, we have some strength and honors.
Yeah, we got some strength and honors to catch up on. So, Tube Guy, welcome back. Happy Easter to you. Hope you did too. Linda, Louie, and Louie, we were late getting on, so I don't know if it probably was us.
Yeah, that was us. Good evening, Facebook user. Who are you?
That's going to be Lisa, I think.
Probably.
Yeah. Scott, what's up? Scott Torchick. Good to see you. Amazing experience there. I just forwarded you. I don't know if you saw it yet. It was a transvestite walked into a convenience store with a sledgehammer.
Mm-mm.
And somebody had mentioned something about God and hit them both in the head with a sledgehammer.
No.
And walked out of the store. I mean, it was really graphic, really terrible.
Where?
I don't know where. It was just one of those graphic things. And it's like, man, we've always been in a dangerous world.
Mm-hmm.
But now, I mean, the fact that there's one dude, like this should not have happened. Cortisone in the knees, Scott. And he let somebody who was obviously a transvestite, obviously crazy, stand well within his bubble.
Yeah.
And kept taking his eyes off him because it was uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as he looked away one last time, wham. And, it's just horrible.
Yeah.
Just horrible. But, as Christians, the persecution is coming. And
I saw a reel kind of summing up the active shooters, and I'm not going to necessarily remember. It was like they shot the gays and everyone put up, or they shot gay people and everyone put up the pride flag. They shot Ukrainians and everyone put up the Ukrainian flag. They shot black people and everyone put up the BLM flag. They shoot Christians and everyone rallies around the trans shooter saying that she's the actual victim. Like, it's just, I mean, that's kind of summed up. As long as Christians are the victims, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And, you know, the more I've been seeing about that, she specifically targeted individuals.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I had seen something
There's a lot of dark stuff coming out.
I
where
had
she
seen that
specifically
she
was going
targeted the
after
pastor's
specific
daughter.
children, specific children and specific people.
So she had like researched her.
Yeah.
Interesting. So that's partly why.
And that's why the
body count
manifesto
was-
isn't out. And that's why the manifesto is not being released, because they
'cause
don't
she
want to
wrote-
make it, you know, flashback or splash onto blowback on the the LGBTQ community, et cetera, et cetera. But
Did she know these people?
no, I don't. Well, I
I
don't
can't
know.
remember.
Her
Has she-
parents were were like.
I can't remember. Had she
solid
gone to
Christians.
that school?
She did,
So I wonder. Okay,
but she
so-
was targeting another school,
right.
and they had
but
security.
yeah,
and
I
they
wonder if she had
decided to
gone
go
to
to
that one
lesser security.
Yeah.
So, you know, this has really brought us back to our roots. I mean, let's be honest. When COVID hit, you know, we've been running a security company, Trident Shield, an active shooter training consulting company since 2014.
And it evolved really to that in 2016.
Yeah. So, you know, actually, I think I started in 2013 is when I started it. And I started by doing some training with Charlottesville PD and all those guys. So, so 2013, so 10 years we've been doing this, and then COVID hit and it wiped out the entire business. The whole industry went under, because if you don't have schools, no one in school,
workplace,
no one in workplace, there's no
workplace
you know,
violence.
no workplace violence, any of that other stuff. So we have been seeing a massive surge in business again,
Which has been really interesting to me because we've had I'd say a good number of fairly high profile active shooters over
Yeah.
the last year plus. I mean, there was like nothing.
Last year was a record setting year.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So it's just interesting. There was an incredible spike in like people that we had talked to as sales calls years ago, reaching
Well,
out.
Strength and honor, brother.
Specifically after the Nashville shooting. So something about that like really pinged people. And I don't know if it was the faith aspect that these clients are Christians and that kind of hit their heart differently or what. But yeah, things have gotten busier.
Yeah. And, you know, it's a wake up call and a reminder to all of us who, you know, even when you're in the industry, when you're living this life, you get lax. And peace or relative peace or a lack of something happening near you can breed complacency. And it takes so much discipline to stay on. Like we've slacked around here, you know, and, you know, I've been really soul searching and going to God and being like, hey, Lord, like, what is our mission? You know, what?
I'm good.
Right? What is our mission? What is, like, how are we supposed to serve you? And every time I think the active shooter piece or the security piece is,
we were prepared to shut it down for 2023.
yeah. And next thing you know, right before we do that, all this people that we were in sales cycles with in 2016 are reaching out to us.
So Tube Guy says these shooter manifestos need to be released. We need to know what's going on. Both manifesto from Nashville shooter and the would-be shooter in Colorado Springs. Why won't they release all of this?
You know why? Because it goes against their
Chris
left-wing
says
crazy.
The manifesto will not be released because it goes against the liberals' priorities.
Right. They, you know, if it was a Trump supporter who did this, they would be all over it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It'd be the first thing as a white supremacist.
Well, because
Trump.
I'm sure, I mean, her manifesto probably identifies this as to be a hate crime, which they do not
Yes.
want to
Right.
go down that road.
Right. You know, and they stopped another shooter in Colorado.
That's
I heard
the one
the other day.
that's
Yeah.
the one he's referring to.
And you know, so It's well, and then there was the one in Louisville.
The
bank
bank, yeah,
employee.
that person was a
That's-
white male, so they're willing
yeah.
to talk about that one.
Yeah. But there's something, again, I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anything. Here's what I know. You got to take care of your people. You got to take care of your family. Everything starts with your family. Well, it starts with yourself. If you're not dangerous, then you can't teach your family to be dangerous. So you need to become dangerous. Your family needs to become dangerous. And then you need to start training and cooperating and mutual aid agreeing with and pooling resources with people around you. One guy, my friends are lucky because they hit the lottery because of, my medical training, my SEAL training, all that stuff. It's really useful in this topic, but again, we had friends, right, who watch this show come and do a bunch of electrical work for us that I don't have that skill set.
Yeah, everyone has their own
Right.
niche.
And we've had another friend come over and do the plumbing,
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not one person, can know it all. You really have to attract and work with a diverse group of people's skill sets to be able to plug all the holes, to be able to make any of this prepping lifestyle, this prepared lifestyle affordable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, thank God there's YouTube and these other channels out there where people are putting out free content. Yes, a lot of them want to sell you a course or whatever, but there's so much free stuff out there that you can get.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing you can't learn to do by doing this.
Yep.
For
now, while it's available.
My big turn since the weather got nice and the mud went away is it's time for the Perry family to button their stuff up. We can't be the disheveled mess and chaos incarnate that was the price we paid for building everything in 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That was the trade-off. Learning animal husbandry, learning how to be a farmer, building all these things, maintaining all these things. Like now, putting up an electric fence is an easy thing, right? It used to be a whole day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, checking it, making sure it's like we're learning the tricks of the trade, and it's grinding it out and it's doing all that stuff. But when you've got kids and you've got to go from a 3,500 square foot house to a 1,200 square foot house,
mm-hmm. Chaos.
It was chaos. And that chaos is spilled out our front door and along the sides of our house and into our backyard and like everywhere. And my mission now is every day, chip away, because it's a contagion. It's a depression contagion. When you step out and all because we all have critical eyes,
mm-hmm.
and your eyes rest on all the things that are wrong.
While. And then there's days that, for whatever reason, your eyes are opened to what's around you.
Yeah.
And you go, holy smokes. That's bad.
Yeah.
I'll fix it.
So, so it all comes back to, being dangerous and being able to work out and being able to shoot and being able to do stuff and, being trapped with a bad back and bad knees and just getting my bad knees fixed. My morale was instantly better. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't have to plan every step to get out of bed in the morning, mm-hmm. to not fall into Anya's door and wake her up, So again, really optimistic about that stuff. But I'm telling you, I watched a really good piece by Doug Wilson, who I'm a huge fan of. again, too many big words spoken too fastly with too many analogies.
Mhm.
But it was basically, he's laid out the case for Christian nationalism.
Mhm.
And he fully embraces and the model, the way that it would work and how it would work and all that. And I think he's the only one out there saying it. Like all the other pastors out there, this is something that I really want to get into. The wickedness of the rapture doctrine.
Mhm.
Now, the rapture may be correct, but as humans, when you're hoping for a parachute or an extraction before things get hard, and you're the only ones in history who are ever getting it. Right? God's son didn't get it, all the apostles didn't get it, but you're so special. You're getting out of here before things get bad.
Yeah.
It has cost us this entire country. It's cost us the world. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy of, hey, the world's going to be bad, so we might as well not do anything. So we'll just stay in our churches and we'll do this. And hey, we'll have mega churches and we'll have great concerts and do all these things and all that stuff while the whole city, my neighborhood, the city, the town, the state goes to hell. And then you have places that are getting more godly. Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Florida. So it can be done,
Mhm.
right? It can be done when God's people come there.
Mhm.
And instead of going and thinking, we need to send missionaries in there to get them to come back,
Right.
but you can't go into hell and turn hell into heaven.
Right.
And that's when the people of New York, of California, of New Jersey, of Massachusetts, of Connecticut, of Rhode Island, of Maine, of Illinois, of Washington, of Colorado, of Montana, right? Where basically like you can kill a kid on a table still after this recent thing they passed not too long ago.
Montana. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Never think about
That you can't stay there and keep your family intact. You're going to
You're
lose
fighting an
someone.
incredible battle.
Like the odds of you losing someone to LGBTQ or substance abuse or paganism,
Yeah.
Satanism, atheism
Mhm.
is ridiculously insane. If you think like you're going to have to homeschool and you're going to have to pitch a shutout,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, like best case is worldly Christian.
Yeah.
Which-
Best case
yeah,
is
it's
worldly
like, what does that
Christian, which
count?
isn't even a Christian.
Right.
You know, same time every night. Thank you, Odin. And I know this is hard to hear for some people. But you want to go check on?
Sound like a car. It's kind of slowed down. I'm like, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
It keeps going. I'll got it.
But I believe it with every fiber of my being. Now I know not everyone can go.
Yeah.
You know, but if 75% of conservatives in America move to a red or purple state, the world would change.
It'd be very interesting to see that.
If we could
shift.
pull our resources, like, and I brought this up on the Hope Report today, and look at what the Daily Wire coming to Tennessee did.
I was gonna say, I was about to bring up Ken and Pastor Ken and his success, not his personal, but
Yeah.
he contributed a lot with rallying kind of
He drove those drag queens out
the
of
two
Knoxville.
movements, the kind of solidifying was it Right to Life? What is the name of that?
Now does the Church at Planned Parenthood.
But the bill that he was
The Right to Life.
that
Right to Life, I
was
think so.
kind of that was being fought against as far as abortion basically not being a thing here in the state, and then all of the drag queen stuff and with minors, and he sounded floored that he was as successful with it.
Because he was so used to
Because-
losing in Washington.
Yeah, and so just that being in a state that would actually support your voice
Oh,
against those things,
yeah. It's like what
it's so encouraging.
So you're a Republican in New York City. No Democrat cares what you're saying there. All the Democrats in power,
Mm-hmm.
they don't care. And the Republicans in office don't care. Why? Because they have to be so moderate. They're not even Republicans,
Right.
right? So it's like, it's, I just don't see how people don't see it. And if you stay in Sodom and Gomorrah, you're going to pay for it eventually. It will be tragedy and it will come to you. I mean, I have no doubt of that. I have no doubt of that.
One way or the other. Yeah.
And I mean, since we got here, it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows. I mean, I met a guy today who was the most unlikable person I've ever met, I think, in my life. I think I could hang out with a BLM trans activist and find more redeeming quality in them than I found in this gentleman today. And who happens to be a government employee who does inspections. And is the
Special kind of special.
special,
Yeah.
like radiates jerk.
There's
from-
not much joy in that soul. That is
The
for
only
sure.
joy was, how can I say no
Yeah.
as fast as I can so I can get back to my car and do less work?
Yeah. Curmudgeon
Yeah.
would be a kind word.
Yeah. I was just,
You kept your Jesus.
I blessed them. And man, I can't imagine being that dude.
I got the pleasure of speaking to him first. I was like, I'm going to go get my husband. Please wait. So yeah, I came in to get Jason. I was like, there is
Like
a
when Lauren says
special
someone's
guy
difficult,
out
when
here." He was
Lauren
like, "Oh,
comes
man."
in and says something's difficult, that's like almost impossible. Like I've never even seen, like, so I was picturing, like, I don't know, homeless. You said there's a special guy. I thought someone saw our sign and there was like some EDP in her driveway, emotionally disturbed person,
There
like
was a
wanting to
real
debate,
special dude in our
you know,
driveway.
mixing church and state or something. And instead it was just,
Mr. Killjoy.
yeah. So anyways, every time I think that God's closing the door on the violence preparation and the dangerous side of life and teaching people how to be like us, that is what comes back to life raging every time.
Mhm. Yep, it certainly doesn't seem to be.
Excuse me.
We would have to be kind of. It's not going to go away on its own now. We would have to make the choice to fully leave it behind, even though it's clearly something that still is a needed service. So the juggle is kind of picking back up on business number 3, job number 3, taking time,
Yeah.
figuring
yes.
out how to do all of that. So it seems worth it. Finances will be helpful. But yeah, it's encouraging to know that people, at least their eyes are opening about it being needed, but it's always sad that it takes these kinds of things and that it's going to be a brief window of time where it's front of mind for people and then it'll fade away again.
You know, it's just the battle of discipline to always have to want to do hard things and do those hard things when there's so much more constructive stuff that you want to be doing. But you got to train, you got to stay dangerous, you got to stay focused, you got to go back to, like, so for, like, on the farm, like, it gets hot in Tennessee, and, you know, trying to come up with farm apparel is the best way, or farm kit to carry a radio, to carry a machete, to carry a Leatherman, to carry a firearm, to carry some mags, to carry some useful tools around the farm.
You need a
Is,
goat,
you know,
as we were talking about. Who were we talking about that with the other?
yeah, I can't
Oh,
remember who it
Aaron.
was.
Aaron, he wanted a donkey for hiking with. So just
Yeah.
go get a goat.
And I'm just like, I think I'm going to be wearing a chest rig with radio, you know, pistol holster, some other stuff, and I think that's what's going to be, because
Victor.
Victor, what's up, brother?
I hope your surgery goes well, Chris.
Yeah,
It can make such a difference.
yeah, I hope so. Yeah, But
Yeah, it's hard, the logistics of carrying everything that you need and still being functional and comfortable.
yeah, well, I
if
mean, I
that's a
can put
thing.
on cami pants and all this stuff and look like Tactical Joe out there, but that's just, you know, I'd rather be out there in shorts and a t-shirt,
Yeah.
you know, um, with all my kid accessible. So, you know, so just trying to come up with ways to do this to where you're not just such a jumble.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm out there swinging a machete for an hour this morning, cutting down briars and trees that are getting too close and saplings that are getting too close to the electric wire. Stuff's falling all over the place. My pockets all have holes,
Right.
you know, and you know, I'm just, you know, I'm not raging. I was able to keep it cool, but I'm just like, this is ridiculous. I need to do better.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I think that comes part with, you know, organizing the chaos in our lives, seeing what gear we do have,
Mm-hmm.
because money's tight, real tight,
Yeah, you have a lot of stuff here that I think that
that we can
you didn't realize.
repurpose. That
Yeah.
I've been dragging it around for
Uh-huh.
20 years. I might as well start using it. And if the farm destroys it, great, it did its purpose.
Mm-hmm. Farm's good at destroying stuff.
It's real good. Bob wire, holy smokes.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even imagine razor wire when we have to get razor wire, but bob wire, especially that green stuff, it's really good, really strong. But man, is it murderous.
Mm-hmm.
I've lost a lot of blood on that fence,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But yeah, man. And then,
Yeah, Chris, we have the radios now and they've been great.
yeah, the radios make a big difference when people remember to bring them. Right. And, you know, the best part is it's one button for the kids to talk. So B is
Yeah.
getting better at it, you know. But it's, you know, you think a phone is good enough? No, it's not. You need to broadcast it in every room where people are at, because everyone puts their phone on silent and puts it down, and you're blowing it up, and you could be pinned under the side by side, or you could have just got kicked by a cow. You could have had some emergency happen, and you're not going to be doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly what it is. Chris, how many acres you got? But, you know, the radios are useless though off the property. Like they're supposed to have 33-mile range or 36-mile range, and we have so
Which-
many hills, 11. Okay. And it
It's
just
fine. I mean, their purpose really is just
Yeah.
for our on-site work. TPS says probably preaching to the choir here. Having a good emergency contingency plan documented is probably the most important thing to have in the short term.
Well, it depends. I mean, there's a lot of different contingencies and a lot of different stuff there. I mean, we write the operation plans for a living. That's what Trident Shield.
Are you talking
No.
about personal, like family, or business? Because both could be relevant.
Yeah. So, you know, the side by side is our emergency extraction vehicle, or the truck, depending on where it's at. I mean, we chose where we lived for a very specific reason. We have a Trauma One Children's Hospital 10 minutes from us. Right. So so that part is good. Flooding isn't a safety issue for us here. Fires would be. If wildfires, if they ravage the hills like California or something like
Mhm.
that, that could be problematic. But we have such wide open fields
Yeah.
that I don't think that would even be a problem. They're safe places for us to go.
Yeah, I mean, our biggest personal thing to have a contingency plan about is evacuation. Like we were talking
That
about
train.
this. We were talking about this with the train
Yeah.
evacuation and our animals.
Well, the animals would be left behind. We don't have a trailer.
Yeah.
We don't have a
so they would-
trailer that
I
could
mean,
get
it'd
them
just
all,
be
so we'd have
essentially
to-
sacrificing them.
It'd be sacrificing the animals,
So he was
unfortunately.
meaning personal. What to do if a major power grid hack occurs or a financial system hack occurs, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Well, the financial system hack occurs, we're all in debt, so at least that they'll wipe out our debt, hopefully. Um, as far as power grid, if the power grid goes down across this country, I don't think anyone's going to be able to plan for that except for the richest, most
I
wealthy,
remember.
most off-grid people who have been doing this for like a really long time, who can go vanish underground for like 2 years and then come out and see who's left.
So I was just, you sent me that Candace Owens
Yeah.
one on Friday. So that was after the last show. I don't know if anyone else saw it. And it's the outcome is the conversation that Jason's been having a while about preparedness and all that kind of stuff. But she said that she was listening to the World Economic Forum's tabletop session that they had. What was it? Would have been in fall 2022. Is that when they do
Yeah.
it? I don't know if it was just released or whatever, but how they happened to predict almost down to the letter what happened with COVID right before COVID happened. They tabletopped a scenario identical to it. This past time, they did one that there is this worldwide internet virus that they have to shut down globally, the internet, to try to fix this virus and come up with a vaccine for it, an internet vaccine, and basically everything related to the internet. So all
Grid goes down.
of our grid goes down to fix this virus. So she's like, I'm taking it kind of seriously. The fact that they, predicted COVID exactly, and now they're talking about this, that there could be something similar in the not too distant future. And so she was just kind of playing through a lot of the things that Jason was like, can you grow your own food? What is your emergency contingency plan? All of that kind of stuff. And her eyes seem to have been opened about the lack of preparedness by everybody, especially the generation beyond me, who's totally dependent on the internet for all sorts of knowledge.
Yeah, well, you got to remember, but like your generation, do you remember not having Google?
Yeah.
Okay, so the generation after you has no critical thinking skills.
Yeah.
They never had to solve anything on their own. They could always go to Google or YouTube and find it.
Mm-hmm.
So they've never had to look at a problem that somebody didn't already solve and solve it.
Right.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so it's a lot of us are fairly dependent on being able to kind of quickly look up solutions to things, but
What do you know?
People prior to that kind of ease at your fingertips at least used to have the ability to problem solve on their own.
Every family had an encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Britannica, the whole collection, so you could look up things. That was your Google.
Tell him what Greg did.
Oh, so a doctor friend of ours who's a prepper, he went out and he bought a bunch of high capacity Kindles, and he downloaded various libraries, medical supplies, prepper supplies, all these different things, and put them in a Faraday cage box for all of his kids.
And so that is a box that would resist.
That is a box that would resist an EMP, that they would be able to.
So these devices would survive.
Solar powered. Yep. And it was a brilliant idea.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd love to have Pages instead, but Pages, like to get all the amount of knowledge, he put in the amount of knowledge.
Like you can't. That's
like
not
get all the
realistic
books to fill this space.
That's amazing.
In there.
Yeah. It's like, when you think about the value of gifts, like that one.
And he does, and he's made go bags for all of his kids. The emergency contingency plan that Louis has is making sure, like at a minimum, it's a great plan. I won't eat bugs. I will eat beef from Pastor Jason's farm. You're more than welcome to, Louis. When we got him, we'll ship him out.
Come work it up.
Having at a minimum in your car, having backpack with some supplies, having a good pair of walking shoes, having some rain gear, and having like functional clothes. So if you're going to a dinner and you're in a suit and an EMP hits, you're not wearing cowboy boots and slacks and a sport coat.
Mhm.
You've got camis or sweatpants, sweatshirt, and and some stuff in there so you can walk home if you have to.
Yeah.
That's a minimum, right? Now you can add on to that, and there's a never-ending supply of stuff you got, but you got to be able to move. Imagine you're a girl in a skirt with high heels and your car breaks down.
Knew I had a reason to never wear those.
Yeah. Lauren walking in high heels.
Doesn't. Not a thing.
There's no power stride down the catwalk with Lauren.
Right.
I know where Anya gets her controlled crashing walk.
Oh, come on. Come on. Anya looks like she's had a few.
Yeah,
I don't know what you're implying.
got that drunken stumble going from go. But no, I mean, that's like a minimum if you're going to drive, and if you're going to drive an hour away, you may have to walk back an hour. That's
I
long.
don't like the thought of you in Florida for a week.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
And if things start going bad, everyone's like, "Oh, I'll just drive. I'm going to drive from 1,500 miles to Jason."
Mm-hmm.
You think anyone's going to let you get here?
Yeah. I have trouble with flip-flops. Heels, forget it. Yep.
Flip-flops. The only place I'll wear flip-flops is in the house. Flip-flops are they're not even footwear, right? And like if you're a dude and you have testosterone in your body, throw away your flip-flops. Throw away your flip-flops. You can't fight in flip-flops. You can't run in flip-flops. You're basically just a victim in your flip-flops and waiting for something bad to happen. And being on a farm.
That's what the South American ladies use as a.
Yeah.
That's about it.
I can't even imagine wearing flip-flops on the farm. How many toes I would have lost.
Oh yeah.
Between barbed wire, the Tennessee state flower is briars.
Mm-hmm.
They're everywhere. The briars here, they're like thorns like that. They will come for you and they will take you.
They're horrible.
I mean, that's a jungle, Louis. We don't live in the jungle here. And the first thing I would do when I would fight surfers in Pacific Beach, when I was a SEAL, is I would stomp on their naked toes and then I'd feed them their freaking teeth because there's no protection. And if you can't stand and you can't fight, right? Like it's
one of my friends hiked
Old Rag. Oh my God, we know Old Rag.
Very bad
idea. Yeah, very bad
no
idea.
Kidding.
So, I mean,
surprising me.
Dude, get yourself a good pair of combat boots with some hard soles, a steel toe, and you've got a weapon. You've got, one with good soles. You can stomp, you can kick, and you've got ankle protection for when you're going over, like hiking up and down mountains in flip-flops. You're just going to fall out of them all the time.
Yeah.
Anyways, if things go to heck, footwear, like my wife must think I'm crazy for all the footwear I have, but it's redundancy.
There's redundancy.
It's redundancy. She's got 2 pairs of shoes, and when things go south, she's going to be like pulling shoes off. Like she's going to be taping cardboard to her feet because she won't buy more than 2 pairs of shoes.
Good thing I probably almost fit in yours.
That's true. But you're not using mine. Mine are for me.
Well, you have redundancy.
I have redundancy for me, not for you, for me.
Yeah.
So again, this is the type of stuff that we find ourselves freaking talking about right now with how expensive things are. I don't want to buy anything. And when you buy it, it's cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing lasts.
Mm-hmm.
I remember boots, the old combat boots that we were wearing at Bud's. We'd resole those things. Now boots just fall apart
quickly. my buck boots, they're like $100. It's not a cheap pair of
No?
farm boots. They've already like cracks in like kind of where your toe or like where your foot bend is,
Yeah.
like totally cracked. I mean, I wear them every day, but I haven't had them that long. So like
Yeah.
all the waterproof stuff just cracked.
So I just wish I could pick everyone up and put them around us. Just because I just feel like some bad stuff. When they can arrest the most powerful man in the world, when they can do what they're doing to Trump, when they can arrest and convict a guy in Texas because he happened to be driving through Austin as an Uber driver, and a BLM protester points an AK-47 at him, and he shoots him and kills him, and now he's a murderer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you think is going to happen if you have to defend yourself in one of these blue states?
I like your idea, Chris. As people show up to the farm after the fall, I can take them off the bad people. Their shoes. I'll take their shoes.
Yeah, well, I hope they have the same size, and I hope if they're trying to hit you, hopefully they bought good gear, which I'm not going to get. They're going to be showing up in Air Jordans, bro.
Well,
useless.
It would get me to the next one.
Buy some good shoes. Like, that's good. Buy some good shoes. That is a must. The other thing that we're looking at is, I know I've been really happy with our Berkey filter. How about it?
Yeah, there's some modifications just based on kind of research and things that I've seen people comment that I would do that seem pretty easy. The biggest one being that you can remineralize your water. So especially our city tap water,
So bad.
then kind of going through the Berkey is just really stripped of, it gets rid of the bad stuff, but there's not really any good stuff in it anymore. So you can get either like rocks, mineral rocks, or packs or something that you put in the base that as the water gets filtered through, the water then gets remineralized. So that seems like something that was pretty easy to add in. You can change your filters to ones that are not Berkey, but you still use the Berkey canister, to some that are even more comprehensive on what they filter
really?
out.
So it's you using the external metal steel.
Yeah, and then you just buy someone else's canisters that fit the same way, or sorry, not canisters, filters. One was kind of promoting, they did the vinyl chloride.
Yeah.
And I don't think Berkey does. So some modifications, but it's much more peace of mind knowing that we're using that versus the city water. We do not have a well. We're on city.
Yeah, we don't have a well yet, Christopher. I mean, the water table here is extremely high. There's literally a cavern a quarter mile down the road that used to be
the trick is still going, even though the water is quick to get to water, going deep enough, because our neighbor has a very shallow well, and then he's just constantly muddy. So, but
yeah, so
other than the expensive digging, it would be pretty easy to tap into it. Any ideas on why off-grid homesteaders are flocking to Idaho?
Sure. Idaho would be next. I mean, if I was a bajillionaire, Idaho is where I was one of the places I would go.
Is all property in Idaho expensive? Or
yeah,
only
it's
like
super expensive. It's super expensive. I was looking around Moscow, and I mean, it's super expensive. It's beautiful, it's rural, and it's conservative.
Mm-hmm.
That's why everybody who's west of the closer to the West Coast, Idaho is easier to get to, but you got to be a millionaire to do anything.
So he said specifically these off-grid.
Yeah, Idaho's great for that. I mean, Idaho's great. It's got, I mean, it's obviously colder than Tennessee, a shorter growing season than we have. But
lots of water sources.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat Tennessee, in my opinion. Northeast Tennessee. Just the lakes, the water, the mountains between western North Carolina and here are just phenomenal, and there isn't a lot of population around us, right? Meaning, like, we don't, like Georgia, Atlanta. There's no Atlanta. Knoxville's still a small town.
Yeah.
we're kind of right in the middle of everything,
Mhm.
right? So, but if I hit the lottery, which I don't play, Idaho would be on my list possibly. I've never been. I just looked at the maps, the demographics. Doug Wilson's there, and um, he's built a considerable community and empire there, and he's had a lasting effect there.
Mhm.
So he's doing it right in a conservative. Idaho is a more godly state. Another one that's shifting that way. California continues that. No matter all the mega churches, New York City, no matter how many Tim Kellers you have, right? It contaminated him,
Yeah.
right? Georgia, I think, is lost. I think that the black population there is so brainwashed into voting Democrat that they're now a deep blue state.
I'm with you too, Guy. Jason wanted more cold. I vetoed that.
Well, I'll tell you, and this is a true confession. This is the first summer I'm not going to complain about. I would normally right
We'll see
now
how long that lasts. I'm optimistic.
When we hit 80, I always get sad because summer has been my least favorite month.
Mm-hmm. Season, yeah.
The season, sorry. Now, dude, you're in hell, Victor. I'm sorry. You're in hell. And I tell my co-host, and my co-host knows this, and she wants out of there as bad as I want her out of there. But this is the first summer. The only drags are heat and flies.
Mm-hmm.
There's no mud. Everything grows. Everything's cheaper.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, that's the farmers. Amazing. Yeah, Victor. You go from -30. You like live on Mars. Like when the moon, when the sun goes away, you go like -20 to like 104 for like the entire summer. It's why anyone lives in that hellhole. I have no idea. No idea.
What do you really think?
Yeah, it's just like it's not even. It's like Californians. They have the beaches.
Yeah.
They've got whatever. It's Minnesota.
Yeah. Chris, how much did it cost for you to put in your well, and how long ago was that? He said he hit water at 30 feet but kept going to 180. So just
that's good. Yeah, well, 30 feet. Holy smokes.
Yeah, that's not very far.
That's not very far. There's how could that water even be clean?
Well,
right, obviously.
That's why he kept going.
Yeah. I mean, we know for a fact we could hit water.
I'd be
at
curious.
30 feet would be easy.
Yeah, I'd be very curious.
But I'd want to go down into the water table where all the filters through everything, and then have to run some pretty.
So I know that the one thing I've always liked ever since being on city water is that when your power's out, your water works. Because I grew up on a well, and so I was always used to, okay, power's out, can't use water. What would our solution be if we were on a well and we lose power?
We would have both.
Okay, so that's relying that
we'd have
that
both.
system still works.
Yeah, and then we have solar power. We could hook it to our well, and it would run our well, no problem.
We could transition that
100%.
Okay, because like obviously the animals, only 6,000. Okay,
might as well be 60,000.
5 years ago. Yeah, yep, that's true.
We have solar here. We have a 15K system, or whatever, 15K, 15 watt, whatever. And it's been great now that it's running.
Yeah, because the biggest risk would be our animals dependent on the well water. And then if you had issues using that, if power was out.
But yeah, that wouldn't be a problem. We'd have both options. The animals would all be on the well.
Mm-hmm.
We need to start. We've got so many structures on here. The fact that we're not collecting rainwater is stupid.
Well, I mean, because we don't like all the crap in our tap water from the city, and our animals are drinking it too. I know that one of our family friends who have a kind of a smaller scale livestock, they are on city, and I think like they get all their water, they filter all of their water for their animals because they don't want the animals drinking that.
I would love a hand pump on a well. I don't think that's a problem at all. I had to do that at my grandparents' place in Pembroke or Lakeville. I can't remember which Pembroke, I think. Hanson. And that is fine. That's what the horses drink.
Mm-hmm. So pump water at camp.
You know, yeah, but you guys were drinking at camp. You guys were drinking.
That
from
was
the
that
pond.
was for like
From the
washing
lake.
dishes and stuff. Yeah, but it
Yeah.
was one of those little
Yeah.
yeah.
Hand pump is fun. I'm sure it's fun for a little bit and you'll lose
And
it.
you're like,
Yeah.
I still need a lot more volume.
Yeah. You know, and I've also seen, you know, in the summer, you know, those plastic containers or bags you hang from a tree that you put water in. The bag is black. It sucks in the heat,
Mm-hmm.
warms the water, and you're using the water.
Okay.
And then you get a pull, shower, lather
Oh,
up.
for
Yeah,
for
all
showering.
that stuff for showering outside.
Yeah, that'll work.
You know, we've been trying to figure out this baby step. Maybe you guys have an answer where, you know, we're at this stage now where we got the farm pretty much done. What do I mean?
I know.
It's a functional farm is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
What were you shaking your head on? What's not done?
Is it ever?
I know, but you know,
No, I know what you mean.
is there like a glaring, like we don't, besides a tractor?
Modifications.
Right. So, you know, how do we get to the next stage of building the compound? How do we build the cabins? And, you know, I really am starting to think that it's setting up the RV camper sites and renting those to raise the money to put into the first cabin.
Mhm.
You have any ideas?
No, I think it's figuring out our prime RV real estate went to Cowfield. So I think it's just figuring out where is actually a spot to put that. And then what is the cost of that, getting it ready?
Well, if we just give them a place to park, like a pretty place to park, and we say, hey, you know,
So no utilities.
no utilities. There's like nothing to that. That's like basically putting a gravel spot out there.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's the biggest thing.
You know, I was thinking even in the pond area.
Like the reality of getting an RV down that little side
Well,
road.
you
and
know,
stuff,
we've
too.
got Dan coming with the skid steer this weekend, you know, and starting to see what the capabilities and what we can actually like do that. Like, and if he could, you know, depending on the size of the RV, we could drive it through the cow field and through the fence, you know, and it could go straight through, pull up to face the, you know, here's David's, here's us, here's the two ponds, pull right up and face the pond.
Mhm.
Aaron, you know what I'm saying?
I think so. Yeah. So just logistics and pricing and all that stuff, but it could be the best way to do it.
Yeah, no, it's just trying to do it with a way without completely economically crushing your family. You know, I mean, it's really tough to plan for multiple people who are not contributing. You know, so you know, I think by doing that, doing active shooter events, doing homesteading events, doing, you know, shooting competitions here, doing more in-person events, I think would help raise revenue to build our first cabin. And then the first cabin, we Airbnb it to build the second cabin, and then it's off and running, right? So again, it really depends on what Dan's able to do with his skid steer. I know he's got a dozer as well, and they want to get the dozer in here to cut the roads. It's kind of going to depend on all that.
We'll see. I'm sure we'll figure it out.
I thought of if we could put in trails, renting out So like mountain bikers.
Yeah, I don't know how quickly revenue would add up with that, but it all would contribute to the pot.
They get up there, rip around. I mean, those roads would be awesome for that.
Mm-hmm.
So Yeah,
Shooting competition.
shooting
sounds fun.
competition and shooting classes and courses and all that stuff,
Mhm.
I think would be great. Well,
One last little announcement. I'm sure most people have seen through
Oh.
other social
Yeah.
media things, through a Hope Report or whatever.
maybe
But if there's anyone who only watches this show, and we didn't know last week, Jason, take it away.
we have a son on the way. So for all of you people who've been praying for us, that we have a boy and not praying against us, praying with us that we would have a healthy baby boy. Prayers worked. We got a little baby boy in that belly down there. And we ask for continued prayers for a healthy, happy mama and an uneventful, easy pregnancy with a great delivery.
2/3 left.
Yeah, 2/3 left. So, thank you guys. Thank you. So, right now, the name that's in the lead is Magnus Luther. Lauren still smirks at that. I
I'm
don't know why she
still-
still smirks
I'm
on that.
still just
She wants like Bob Jones.
up. Yeah. It's still settling in. It's not Thor.
Yeah. I said it's either Thor or Magnus Luther. Your choice.
It's not Thor, I'll tell you that.
So, and that means great warrior of the people. Pretty darn cool. When I tell that to dudes, they're like, "Oh my god, he's gonna be like badass day one, like
Yeah.
ready to work on the farm."
You'll end up with yourself. What do you mean by that?
I don't know what you
It's-
mean by
you'll
that.
End up with yourself. If you do Thor, is that what you're? I don't know what you mean, Chris.
I like Thor too. Everyone likes Thor except for Lauren and her family.
If the Marvel movies weren't, it's Hollywood to me. And it's not Christian, and I just don't think I can have Thor. I'm not there yet. He's got 6 more months to convince me, but I'm not there yet. Thank you, Lou. That's kind of what I think too.
There are some pastors out there named Thor that are pretty cool.
Louis says, I hope it's more biblical.
Well, the names in the Bible, I don't like the sounding of Hebrew names. I'm sorry, I don't like them. They're soft. There's not very many people in the Bible that I even think. There's only one hero in the Bible, and that's Jesus.
Yeah.
Everyone else is some form of villain or Joseph.
And the Luther part was inspired from Martin Luther.
Exactly.
So Christian influence there on a kind of a giant.
I'm not a fan of Peter. I'm sure when I get there, I'm going to be like, hey, what's up? I've known too many Pauls. Like if I was going to name off any apostle, it'd be Paul. I do like James as well, but neither of those names are like,
Oh, okay.
enough of it.
You're going to end up with yourself like your son will be just like you.
Yeah,
He's like, that's fantastic.
perfect.
Lord help me. Perfect.
Abraham is not. I am not a fan of Abraham, Louis. Anybody who like pimps out his wife every time he's scared, not a fan.
Yeah.
Not a fan. Like Abraham's character is not something I think is, God chose one of the weakest, most pathetic dudes on purpose. So he couldn't take any glory. Abraham was eating grapes out of it in his mom's basement. And then God called him out to do that. And thank God that he followed, but it wasn't for anything that Abraham did.
How about that tube guy suggestion? He's already retracted it.
What's that?
Ebenezer Lot.
No, nope. Totally kidding. No. The closest I would come to would be Cornelius, but I don't like the sound of that.
Cornelius.
Cornelius is the
Centurion.
first centurion from the Roman cohorts, who was the first pagans really to get saved.
Hmm.
So
Cornelius. That's it.
Noah would be one, but every Christian kid's named Noah.
Hmm.
Every Christian kid is named Noah.
Well, we have 6 months for you guys to continue to suggest.
Right now it's Magnus Luther. Boom, done. What's your name? Magnus. Dude, man, card's already just pulled right on the table. Like, what do you got? What's what? Joe, Tom, Jay.
Chris? I get one veto. I think that's it. I just don't think I can do it. I don't think I would be able to look at my son and take it seriously.
Yeah, David, it's just a really common name. I've looked at other derivatives of David. Dagvid is one I like. That is like Norwegian for David. But it would definitely go with totally confusing everyone about our kids' names.
Yes, we're good at that. Brenna is Brenda or Brianna.
Yeah.
Poor Anya is
Anja.
Anja. People in the South just don't know what to do with J's. They don't sound like J's. But yeah. Gary says Gluck Luger. Thanks for that suggestion, Gary.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he looks, the hammer has been decided. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, I'm telling you, until we find something better, the default is Magnus Luther Perry.
We shall see. But it's a boy.
It's a boy. So again, thank you for your prayers, guys. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Take us home.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you as always for this time of fellowship. We are grateful for each and every person who spent their night with us tonight. Time is precious and they spent it with us. So we are humbled and so grateful for their support, Lord. We so enjoy this conversation, the banter and the serious talk, and however the conversation goes, we love our Wednesday nights. And so thank you so much for this community. Lord, thank you personally for the blessing of this little baby boy. We are so excited to welcome him into our family. Thank you for this pregnancy, which is progressing smoothly now. And just I pray personally that continues and that we can welcome him easily in October, regardless of his future name. May you make that so clear for us so that there is no debate. Lord, we are all just confused about the state of the world and kind of what direction we're supposed to go in personally and as a community. And just please make that so clear for all of us, whether we need to stay where we are, whether we need to move, what next steps we need to take, and open our eyes to that so that we do not fall victim to anxiousness or fear or stress, as is so easy for us to do in our sinful ways, Lord, and just be with us through this process as we try to turn our country back to you. It is an uphill battle, Lord, and so just please be with us and encourage us as we may stumble along the way. As we move into the rest of this week, I pray a blessing of peace and health and safety over everyone listening. May they spend their best time each and every day with you. And secondly, may they lean into their families and raise them in the way that you would have. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right, everyone. God bless you. And
no, Christopher.
Bye.
Good night.